So thank you for the interview.
Yes.
For those who may not know you, can you please give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, funnily, I came about my name uh, from Gothic forums because in MySpace, they would call me vampire something because I was part of like a community called Vampire Freaks from 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago. I don't remember, and that ages me. And then I was also part of like a cosplay community, the cosplay community as well. And they would be like, "Oh, you're so pale, like a vampire." So we joked around, an artist and we joked around and said, "Hey, we should just call you Vampy. It'll be funny. It's a joke." So I was like, "Oh yeah, Vampy like bit me," and he's like, "Yeah, we could find a website. Vampy bit somebody. It's not going to get big." And after I posted a few pictures, it blew up on the internet back then, and I was super. And I didn't even have a Twitter at that time, so it was super embarrassing to be known as Vampy, and I'm still stuck with it. But yeah, that's how I started out, just being a regular person, just posting on forums, finding friends, and then I've always went to conventions, and I still go to conventions to meet people, and I always find community is why I stay, and ever since then I started cosplaying more within the community, and then working with game companies, trying to involve more of the community in the things I do, and then started working for game companies itself. Been with Bandai for like a few years, and I don't really talk about that side because it's kind of like numbers and stuff like that. But I deal with the community quite a bit still. So yeah, it's just all in all, I just love people, and then that's why I'm here at FandomeCon 2024 again. So yeah.
And we interviewed you back in 2018 when
Yes.
you were a guest at Fanime back then as well. Could you fill us in on anything exciting that's happened since 2018?
Oh yeah. There has a lot of things have happened since then. I found a new hobby, which is hosting, which is I've never I have a I get very nervous around people and just talking and stuff in a big crowd. So I wanted to perfect maybe my hosting skills during the pandemic. There's nothing going on, so I got to host for Crunchyroll, and also like Bandai for a few game launches, and then some Sentai stuff. To, and then I kind of like found my, I guess, calling to do things more with the community without costume, because I usually have a costume on and stuff. So I would say like I evolved into myself, because I used to hide behind extravagant things and whatever, but then they just wanted to hear me. So that was really fun. And I think it strengthened my community as well in Discord and Twitch. So I felt like more human, not like a robot speaking. Because when you're cosplaying, you tend to be like, I'm playing the character. I am that character. I'm going to try my best to not smile because that character doesn't smile. And so being myself was kind of interesting, like finally showing that side of me, and I like that a lot more. So that's kind of the news, I guess, with my character online. I use my name now, Linda, which is nice, and then I worked for a game company, so I was community managing and project managing during that time. So it was a lot, I changed a lot, and I was less afraid of being myself online. So, because I'm very secretive, very quiet. So, yeah.
It's not super common for guests to host panels about like other fandoms versus
Mm.
hosting like Q&As about themselves. So, what is it like putting one on that's about one of your fandoms?
I think that ever since I first started social media, it was always about the artists. I think when I was growing up, individuality was very niche for me. Growing up in Oklahoma, there was no Asians, there was no individuality. It's kind of like outside, you go outside and crush cans for preschool, and then they collect the cans, and all the kids are, they all look the same. And I was just like, I don't know what I am. And I think that during that time, I became a little bit rebellious when I moved to California. I was like, oh, there's other people that look like me. And they listen to not the same music, but they look like me. They're Asian. So I was like, okay, so how do we relate then to these people that look like me, but we don't have anything to relate with? And I'm like, do you watch anime? And they're like, yeah, I love anime. I'm like, oh, do you play Earthbound? Like SNES? do you like, Mario Paint? Do you have that? And they're like, yeah, I'd have that. And I'm like, oh, I can relate with these people. So I think that for me, relating with others was always music. Number one, I love rock, I love metal, I love thrash. Like being a Bay Area girl at that time, thrash everywhere. So I was like, I will relate with people with fandoms and also culture, So it's not about me all the time. So I think that after 20 years of doing that, it's easier for me to talk about a fandom, to relate with others initially, and then down the line you'll get to know them. So it's a good way to, I guess, like get to know people, through music, games, and other cultures and stuff. So it's not always about me, because I feel like everyone's the same. I mean, we're relatively all the same. Like, hey, do you go to sleep? Yeah. Okay. You eat? Okay. That's awesome. Do you have pets? Okay. I have like 3. You know what I mean? So I think it's more interesting to know about like what drives people. So yeah. And first and foremost is always the artist for me. So yeah.
And we understand that you'll be hosting a panel very soon on the history of mecha anime. Can you tell us a bit about your love for that genre?
Oh, yes. I'm actually very lucky because my significant other is very, very much a mecha guy. But he's more into super robots, and I'm into real robots. There's a huge, drastic difference in that, and I'm really happy that he's pretty much spearheading the panel, because he's very, very passionate about mecha, and I am too. But I come from the 80s mecha, and, well, he does too, but I derive my passions in 80s, 90s mecha, and he's more like everything. So it's gonna be a really good panel. I hope to be able to do more panels like that across the US, or maybe across, I don't know, maybe in Asia, but I really love mecha because I think it sounds really silly, but I think it's fun. It's a little bit silly too, and I think a lot of the anime, even though it has a serious tone, I think it's a lot of it's hilarious, because it's just really, really, there's deep undertones about war, but as a kid I always thought it was very funny to see Voltron forming, or Transformers. Soundwave was my favorite, so it would get set. It's like, what? I broke my toy when I was G1 Transformer, and my mom screamed at me. She's like, you know how much this cost? Never again. So I pieced together my Soundwave over and over again after breaking it, and my mom's like, that's all you get. And I'm like, oh no, I messed up. But luckily I like He-Man too, but that's another thing. But yeah, definitely mecha anime is really fun for me. I think it's hilarious. And then a lot of mecha fandoms, people fight with each other online, and I think that's funny too, because I like fighting. So yeah.
What are some of your favorite mecha anime, and do you have recommendations for someone who is getting new into the mecha genre?
Yes, something not boring. Let's see here, because I feel like a lot of recommendations I give initially scare people. So they're like, okay, this is too deep or scary or annoying. So I always tell them, like, what do you like? And they're always like, something more fun. I would say the new anime right now, like Witch from Mercury, is really good. From Gundam, Iron Blooded Orphans, that's a really good one too. My favorite is Zeta, but that's one of the characters getting slapped all the time, or a bunch of characters getting slapped all the time, and I don't think people find that fun. G Gundam, people love G Gundam. It's it's fun, I think. And my favorite is Bubblegum Crisis. So women in hard suits, and they're badass, and I think I would recommend that. Yeah.
We're curious on your thoughts on fans of mecha anime who don't necessarily care about the robot aspect, like the stats.
Oh, what the stats? You mean the stats? Like how big they are?
Like the character models and the...
If they don't care about that, they care about personality.
They just care about the story.
Oh, that's totally like what the ones I mentioned before. Just to reiterate, like a lot of the anime now, it's more so, I mean, real robots are all about the pilots. So you would stick with the Gundam series a lot of times, because it's about the pilots and everything around it, the wars and things like that. So I think that if you want something like that, Witch from Mercury or Iron Blooded Orphans, I think that would be a good recommendation. Also, something fun for them to watch. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. What do I think about it? I shouldn't say. I don't want to get flamed online.
Do you have any other types of fandoms you'd like to host panels of in the future?
Oh, there's too many. I would love to do other panels about like just I would say creating your own wardrobe, but I don't even know how that would fit into anime stuff. Maybe anime inspired wardrobe things that you've seen online, kind of people do that often. And also creating a wardrobe or like a cosplay out of like anything you have. Could just those kind of things like makeup, just kind of like reusing the things that you have already. I think that would be a really cool panel. We kind of have something like that tomorrow, like cosplay on a budget, because I feel like spending a lot of money for cosplay is not realistic nowadays for a lot of us, even me. And I've used a lot of things like even bed sheets for stuff, and I would dye it and make that into like, you know, my fabric for cosplay. So I think maybe really streamlining my panel to be more like focused on fabrics and things like that, or materials that you can use, but not cosplay on a budget, more so like things around the house kind of thing. And I've seen that online and I think it's really cool. So maybe something like that.
Can you tell us about any recent big cosplays you've done?
Yeah. My recent big cosplays. Well, I wouldn't say they're huge because after I moved, I realized that I can't fit a lot of the costumes I made before. I ended up throwing away a lot of them, which is makes me pretty sad because I would spend like 800 some thousand hours on something, and I'm like, oops, I guess I don't have space, and I'll throw it away because I have 3 cats, and their fur is everywhere, and you can't paint anything. So now I would say like my biggest to my heart cosplay would probably be G Gundam. I think G Gundam, and also Vincent Valentine from Final Fantasy. I really liked his disgruntledness. Again, yeah, I really like how he is, and also he's very loving, and he never got a chance. I feel bad for the guy, but you know, turmoil. I like those characters, so kind of like that. Yeah, so that was my bigger costumes that I wore. Yeah.
Do you have any cosplay horror stories, like
Or-
something that was
oh,
just
every
horrible to
show.
wear?
Every show is a it's in my hotel room right now. I forgot like I forgot my Vincent Valentine. Okay, I might as well tell the story here because if he's gonna do whatever he wants, whatever you want with it. So after I wore my Vincent Valentine for the first time, you know how cosplay is. It's tiring. Everyone's like a mess or whatever. You're hurrying up glue all over the place in your hotel room. So I was finishing out my costume, and the bandana on his head that wraps around, I secured it with sticky tape. And then after a few hours, when the sticky tape gets undone, it starts becoming sticky. Like sticky tape becomes sticky. No, but like melts, okay? It melts. And then after the panel was done, I was like, I don't care about this. I took it off and I threw it in the trash can after spending like 2 hours on that bandana sewing it. And then I brought it for the show, and then my friend's like, hey, so you ready? And I'm like, oh, the bandana's gone. I threw it away last show. So what's happening now is that my friend's going to buy me fabric, and I'm going to finish the bandana by tomorrow for my panel. So that's a horror story for right now. But every show has a horror story. So I don't really admit this stuff, but that's what happened. And it will get done. You know, we always finish. Cosplayers finish. Either we just say another day or we finish. But tomorrow I have to. So, yeah.
How about, do you have any crazy convention stories in general?
Not that I want to share, because legally they're crazy. So I probably don't want to talk about them. But anything crazy? Not really. I'm pretty boring when it comes to shows. I just stay in my hotel room. Except for Fandom. I always go outside. And people are like, oh, you're actually going outside because it's San Jose. I'm from San Jose, so I try to do stuff. But horror stories, not really. No, pretty tame.
You've been a guest at Fanime quite a few times now. Is there something you like about this con that makes it different from others?
Everything. I love this con. I mean, I'll give up. I don't even care. Like so I don't do a lot of shows anymore because I started like doing more streaming and just doing more community stuff. But the reason why I always come back is because people are just cool here. I love the Bay Area. I love people from NorCal. I'm a NorCal girl. Every time I see someone here, I get them. we'll look at each other like, oh, you went there? Yeah. Everyone's chill here, and I like that. It's not like people are going crazy. It's not a Hollywood vibe. I'm not saying any other place is Hollywood, but there is a Hollywood somewhere else, like down there. And they're nice people too, but everyone's pretty down to earth here. And the show, everyone at Fanime treats you so well. The staff, the best I've ever seen in the US, ever. And that's a lot, because I've been to a lot of shows. And everyone's super nice, and interviews are cool, and people are awesome. The panels are awesome. And this, just the head of staff and people who put the show together, they're insanely good. So everyone should be learning from Fanime, I think. Sorry to the other cons, but please learn from Fanime and how they do things, because that should be a tutorial. How to run a con properly with guests. So yeah, I appreciate that.
And you mentioned streaming. What type of content are you streaming?
I mainly stream Gunpla building every Monday. I call it Mecha Monday. And I'm really glad that it's caught on Twitch, because it was never really that popular. So now a lot of people use the hashtag Mecha Monday for their Mondays. Because I've been streaming Gunpla, I think almost 8 years now on Twitch. I should be moving that to YouTube, but that's another editor I need, and I don't have that. And I kind of would much rather keep it on Twitch. But eventually I will be on YouTube with that as well. Slowly. I have to build out my Gunpla area, but I also play a lot of games on there. Retro RPGs, I really love RPGs. Monster Hunter, huge one. Can't wait for Wilds. If you guys want to play any games, any of you guys out there, if you guys want to join in on my hunts, I'm a hammer main. I also play Hunting Horn and Switch Axe. So if you want to come through, I'll cut some tails for you. I'll bonk some heads, get you some fangs or whatever, and we'll have some fun.
What are some of your current favorite anime? Not necessarily mecha, just favorite that's current right now.
Man, well, I mean, One Piece. I just finally caught up with a lot of like the episodes, and it's insane. Like, I don't want to do any spoilers, but Oda is crazy. Like, I felt like Wano was pretty interesting, and it kind of dragged after a while. I'm sorry, but it was dragging. And then when I got into the new, the intro was crazy too. I had to watch it like 10 times.
About anime in general, some of your favorites.
My favorite, I tend to like serious tones. More so like, I also like friendship building anime. Also, I love action, so a lot of good fight scenes are some of my favorites. But I've been rewatching anime lately. Just even old cartoons I've been rewatching. So and even old movies. But those are my favorite. It's either really serious, really deep, I guess, tones, darker tones, or just things about like world building. I think those are my favorite. So the new ones right now, they're good, but they're too cute for me. And I'm not saying I don't like cute. I love cute, but it's a little bit too lovey-dovey.
What are some of the ones you've been rewatching?
Oh, God, it's too many. In my Discord, I've been rewatching like just cartoons, like Ninja Turtles, Transformers. It's funny, G.I. Joe isn't a cartoon, obviously not anime, but like that cartoon is so cheesy. G.I. Joe is so cheesy. Like watching it as an adult, I was like, what the hell was I watching at 5? I didn't like it. But anime-wise, I've rewatched some Evangelion. It's okay as an adult. I understand it more. I liked it way more when I was younger, when I didn't understand it. Now I understand it, and I'm like, it's okay. So like every time someone says, do you like Evangelion? I'm like, it's all right. It's not bad. I'm sorry if you guys like it, but yeah. Rewatching anime as an adult, overall, like, it's hard because you kind of look back and you're like, what was I watching, you know? So yeah, you can imagine what I was watching, like all the, old series. I can't think of them now, but if you join my Discord, we tend to watch it every week.
What are some of your upcoming plans after Fanime? Anything exciting?
I'm gonna stay home for all of June, and that's fun because I have 3 stray cats that I love spending time with, and I'm going to dress them up in possibly like suits, like mobile suits, because I've been seeing that becoming viral, and I really want to make little cardboard suits for them. And then just little fun stuff like build Gunpla. I have a stack like everyone else here. We have a stack of mobile, like, model kits that we need to build, and then streaming a lot. And then finishing like a bunch of Yakuza or Like a Dragon games. Because I love Like a Dragon series, I love Yakuza series, so I'm going to finish those.
And lastly, can you give a closing message to your fans?
Oh, yes. It's so funny. I'm like, I'm a troll, so I'm like, think of something nice. So the thing is, like, I do appreciate you guys always being there for me as a community. And if you're listening, you're probably part of my community. And I just want to say, keep doing what you love, because life is too short to be basic. Just go crazy. And if you want to do something, you should do it now while you're young, when your back's not hurting. And, you don't have to get extra hours of sleep every night. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.